I'm just gathering my thoughts. The thing that keeps coming to my mind as I make this video, as I begin to speak, because speaking is always a form of direct communication, a form of talking to an audience, whether that audience is myself or whether that audience is a group of people, other nervous systems. I just saw just a short blurb. I didn't even watch the whole thing, but Simon Sinek was talking, and he says there's one common misconception about speaking is that you can't speak too slowly. People will always take the time to listen. And a part of me wants to argue with that, because I've found that within my own nervous system, when I'm alone, the need to speak is so muted. Whether it's being muted from a place of dysfunction or it's being muted from a place of function. And by function, I mean, if there's no necessity, then it's actually healthy to refrain from speaking. Sometimes people just talk, and they talk, and they talk, and they don't have an end goal for it. It's like they don't have they don't have the period laid out for their sentence. They don't have the object laid out for their sentence. They just start with the subject. I have this thing to say, and I don't know where it's going to end, but here it is, and this is the way I'm speaking. I'm way up here in my head, and I'm just talking from a place of and it's like that's the vibration that they embody. And I do that too. When I'm around other people, other nervous systems, I'm like, I don't know what, I don't feel comfortable. I really don't feel safe. And so I do want to get to that place where Simon Sinek is talking of, like, there's no amount of slowness that you can exude that would turn people away. And I guess what's coming up now is my belief is there is a certain amount of emotion that can come up that will turn people away. And whether my nervous system and my expression is fast or slow, it doesn't matter. Any sort of emotion that comes up is, I guess, corralled. I get this image of like cows being corralled. And there's fear, and there's frustration, and and these cows have no sense of what's happening to them. And I don't want to do that to my emotions anymore. I don't want to do that to my expression and my experience. And this morning, to kind of maybe shift topics a little bit, is I took the day off. I called in sick. I didn't necessarily feel sick. I felt off. I felt like something was wrong. And I listened to my authority, and my authority within said, call in, don't go to work. And I felt okay with that. But the moment I was talking to B, my assistant manager, on the phone, it was like, yeah, I kind of had this sadness coming out, like, hey, B, I'm sad and I need to stay home from work. Don't feel good. It's like that was the energy I needed to exude in order to pretend that I was physically ill. And I'm not physically ill. I am mentally ill. I have a neurological disorder. Maybe I'm not even mentally ill. I'm functionally ill. The function of my nervous system is ill. It's dysfunctional. And how I process emotions and how I process the amount of noise and information that's happening all the time is just, it's super heightened, and I need to like take a step back. I need to not go to work. I need to not work in retail. I need to like isolate myself. And at the same time, I need to find places where I can put myself out there, where isolation is, or where community and being social is benefits me and other people. I feel like in retail, being social and being in that type of community is not benefiting me. It's benefiting other people. It's benefiting people that are making more money off of me than I am making benefit or resource off of them. And that's sad. It's sad that, it's like I'm at work and I'm like, there is no fulfillment happening whatsoever. I'm just doing this out of the necessity of needing to pay my rent. And so that heightens, I get into a heightened arousal, a heightened place of my nervous system in order just to, they call it addiction to excitement, but it's just, there's an addiction to what I was taught, or how I was taught to treat money, and how I was taught to treat community, and how I was taught to treat taking care of myself. That's what it comes down to. It's like, how do I take care of myself? I have to be up here in order to take care of myself all the time? It's like, or I can be down here. Yeah, it's like those. That's funny. As I'm saying that in real time, I'm like, I'm able to pretend there's this character that's like, hey, I'm up here in my head and I'm like anxious around other people, and this is how I take care of myself. Or I'm at home and I'm just by myself and lethargic and want to kill myself. And those are very, very polarizing. And I've felt those all my life, those two places of like, I am dead inside at home, or I'm dead inside outside of the world, or I'm just like anxious at home and restless at home and restless and anxious around other people. And then the emotions of those two things have corralled me into a pen, and I don't want to be in that place anymore. And I really struggle reflecting to myself that I've started to make maps. They're almost like brainstorming session, but it's just like almost like, here's what I'm feeling, this is the thought that's coming up, or the pressure I'm getting, or the urge, or like almost like any sort of thought, sensation, statement, anything that's like kind of like rumbling in my system. I write that down. It's like, well, what's the directionality of that? Well, how is that creating dimension in my life? And then it's like, oh, well, then there's this one, and it's kind of coming from this way. And it's like, there's no linearity to any of it, but it's kind of like, it's a creative process of writing a map, like here's the mountains that are coming from this place, and here's the sea it's coming in from making a gulf here, and here's the forest, and here's some roads that were made by people, and here's a city. There's a lot of noise in the city, and like to get away from the city, I'm listening to some bird sounds, crickets and frogs, because it seems like the moment I go outside, I have to get into a different character. I have to like, even just, even if I'm able to listen to birds in the neighborhood, it's like I kind of have to like get into this heightened state. And I don't want to stay at home all day, but I am also just listening to my system, my nervous system. And a part of me also was like, I need to look for a new job. And the momentum or the motivation and the desire are really limited in that. So I gave myself 4 days off. And I'm a little frustrated that the next few days are my days off, and yet I'm gonna have electricians in the house, and like I have no choice or no control over that. And that was one thing that informed me taking the day off. But that's a part. I don't know. That almost felt like a rehearsed thing. No, that's just part of life. Not having choice over anything. It's like, well, how I respond to it is my choice. So I have no idea what day they're coming. I have no anything. I have no information. And you just maybe putting that out on my map, putting it out in the world is like, if I have no information, I have too much information from 98% of my reality. It's like there's just way too much information coming from those. But the one side, like it almost seems like, oh, what's coming from over there? It's like I can't even tell. It's like I'm blindsided by all these other forces. I'm blindsided by the electricians. I'm blindsided by the Wamplers, my landlords. I'm blindsided by people at my work, and it's like I'm blindsided by my lack of information. And I guess this just harkens back to me growing up. It's like we didn't have any transparency. There was so much denial and lack of regard for the children, for other people in their lives, and they didn't have it either. My parents didn't have it either. You know, like they shunned and hated and were afraid of authority figures because that's what they learned. And just every moment that I give care and choice and love to my nervous system, to my authority, is another moment that I'm taking away from the equation of dysfunction. Thanks for listening, and hopefully this momentum of functionality and of choicefulness and empowerment continues, and I know it will.